Hi, how you doing? So today, this Finance Friday, will be a video. So the last one we talked about was Think and Grow Rich and Napoleon Hill in terms of how making a plan happen. And we talked about desire and all the things, or generally a few things that kind of stop us and a kind of plan. I said I'd continue with that. And Napoleon Hill lists 30 reasons for failure, and I've got a couple of extra just to add on. So, because this is video, I'll kind of quickly go through it. But his reasons, or his thoughts as to why we don't make things happen: lack of knowledge, know-how; a lack of a well-defined purpose; lack of ambition, and we've spoken about that before; insufficient education. And what he just means, it's not to say you have to have a degree or anything like that, but just simply like trying to seeking out what you need to know and then going after it, basically, or getting experts to help you. Lack of self-discipline, I think we can probably all relate to that one. Ill health, of course, understandable. So therefore, it's about looking at our eating and drinking habits and what have you. Bad influences during childhood, or just, for example, kind of been hovering around either poverty and or just kind of hanging out with bad crowds or what have you. And sometimes we just have to break free from stuff like that. Procrastination. Yeah, I think we're all guilty. Certainly I am. Lack of persistence. Negative personality. So kind of just going through the, it might not work, all that sort of stuff. Whereas, no, this will work. Lack of energy, lack of kind of focus, really. Uncontrolled desire for something for nothing. And this, I think, is a biggie, and we'll maybe go into this one a bit more detail another time. There is a lot of people out there that just want something for nothing. And quite frankly, hell, yeah, I would too. Quite frankly, would have something without effort. But there has to be a little bit of effort. And when I say a little bit, I don't mean a huge amount of effort, but equally, we have to kind of give to take. Well, that's my belief anyway. And according to Napoleon Hill, it's his as well. A lack of a well-defined decision. Fear, there is a big, and I think that's a biggie, and he's got a whole chapter on fear, and we'll talk about that another day. Wrong partner, so in other words, kind of not having a supportive partner. Being overcautious. Yeah, I'm probably guilty of that one. Wrong business associates, so that's a bit like having the wrong partner, just not having a supportive business associate, or just in your peer group kind of thing. Kind of prejudices and judgments, I think is another one. Interesting, he's talking about wrong vocation. So what he's referring to that is basically do something you love. Throw yourself in wholeheartedly rather than just doing something for the money. And I think we've spoken about that before. Is just, yeah, well, we want to make money, and money is a big, or just wealth. I mean, wealth's more than just money, but doing something that we really, really love. And yeah, I'm geeky. I love accounts. I really do. It's like not many people do, but I do. And that's the thing. Sometimes we can truly love something that everyone else hates, and that kind of makes us a wee bit weird. And I struggled with that for a very long time, and I still do sometimes. But yeah, really throw yourself wholeheartedly into what you love doing. I've lost my list now. Oh, here we are. Lack of concentrated effort, so focus. Maybe getting easily distracted. And I think in these days and times, all the notifications that pop up, and sometimes we just have to put our phone on silent or even switch it off or put it in another room or something, But even with that, we can still be our thoughts, and that's where we're kind of being very mindful and just focusing and keep coming back to the breath, keep coming back to where we are, what we're trying to do. Interestingly, frequent indiscriminate spending. So, for example, obviously, if we're wanting to be a millionaire, for example, spending all our money is not exactly going to get us there. We need to save. We need to put money aside. That's not to say that we shouldn't spend. It's about spending money on the right things. A lack of enthusiasm. intolerant. So in other words, we need to keep an open mind. So I think I've spoken before in the Finance Fridays and the Hub masterminds and workshops and stuff like that, is we have to be truly open to all the opportunities out there. We have to be totally like, just be curious, when something comes along, rather than shutting it down and go, oh, that won't work. I suppose that comes back to the negativeness, but, or just like, I don't even see how that could take me there. But if we could just be a little bit curious and lean into that slightly. Lack of self-control. I think he sort of repeats himself a little bit, I guess, it ties in with sort of discipline and stuff like that as well. Inability to cooperate. So in other words, trying to do everything ourselves. And I'm probably guilty of that as well. I've dealt, just sometimes it's just like, oh, if you want the job done, just do it yourself, that kind of thing. Equally, sometimes we need to ask for help and we need to cooperate with others. Interestingly, his thoughts is people that possession of power through not acquired through effort. So in other words, kind of like some people maybe that are born into money, or some people just born into privilege. And even, although I was born, not saying destitute or poor, but certainly we didn't have everything that we wanted in life, and there's a few other things going on as well, which some of you already know. But in terms of, like sometimes we forget to just be humble. And I, in most instances, sometimes, I'm in my head a bit too much, but generally, I look around what I've got. I've got more money in the bank account than my mum and gran ever had. Even my partner and I, we've been together for longer than my gran and my grandpa ever were. My grandpa died when my mum was quite young. Equally, my mum and dad's relationship. Well, we all know. Some people know how that went, but anyway, that one didn't last very long either. It wasn't a healthy one. So, even really interesting, just things, even personal things. It doesn't have to be business. It doesn't have to be about money, just being aware of what we have that our mothers, our parents, or grandparents, or just even sometimes our friends. I sometimes feel guilty that I have something that I'm afraid some of my friends don't, or even some of my clients, if I've got a bit of money and my clients are looking for money for stuff, and it's like, I kind of sometimes unconsciously, actually, it's never really apparent, I feel guilty about that. And it's about being humble and about being about being grateful. So yeah, I have a kind of phrase up in one of my walls, and it's just like, be grateful, not guilty. Intentionally dishonest. I don't think anyone in the hub, I know he certainly has that, but yeah, just being honest. Ego and vanity, I think, can get in the way of our goals. We can get distracted, go after something that's going to give us fame rather than actually that thing that we truly, truly want in our heart. Guessing, assuming, jumping to conclusions, and a lack of capital. And certainly a lot of people can relate to that. I've been working with a few clients lately, through advisory clients. They're wanting to do, two in particular, want to do massive things, and I'm in awe of them. I really am. I'm a little bit more risk averse. But anyway, one in particular is really struggle. One of them's having to kind of do a few different things to get capital. Another one in particular is really struggling to get it. She's got about 75%, but she needs to find another 25%. And yet she's got this amazing business idea, amazing. In fact, it's more than an idea, it's very grounded. And we certainly made sure of that. But yeah, she's just really struggling to get the extra 25%, So yeah, that, if you were counting, I didn't do a countdown, but that's 30 of them. Personally, I also think the other two are, and I've spoken about one of them in particular, is this desire, this to admit that we want something. I have one client who is very vocal about wanting to be a millionaire, and I love her for it. I really do. A lot of people shy away from stuff like that. It's like, I can't possibly want to be a millionaire. I just want enough, Whereas, it's neither's right. It's just whatever's right for you, and be honest about that. Whether it's money, whether it's love, whether it's friendship, whether companionship, doesn't matter. Whatever you want, be clear about it and admit it to yourself. You don't have to shout it from the rooftops. You don't have to tell everyone about it, but just be honest with yourself about what you want. And the second one, and this is something that's kind of come up for me, is this ability to say no. So, Napoleon Hill talks about distractions and self control and discipline and all this sort of stuff. And I have a lot, at least I think I have a lot, but it is interesting. I get distracted or I can't focus, or I say I'm going to do something and then I don't. And then when I reflect on why I didn't, sometimes it's because something came up. And when I look at what that thing was that came up, it was because somebody reached out and asked for help. And I like to be helpful. Um, and sometimes I think what stops us is actually saying no to other people. So I guess a little bit of being selfish. But I think this is an interesting one because as business owners, I think we are generally helpful. Um, by being helpful, we get clients, and by getting clients, we get money or customers if we're making a product. That product has to be something that's useful and helpful in order for it to sell. But then I guess it can kind of go the other way, or rather, we can be sometimes be overly helpful, too helpful, and we're so helpful that we're helping others, which is fantastic. And I think we really do need that. But sometimes we can be too helpful, and we do that to the detriment of our own goals, our own intentions. So it's just a bit of balance. It's quite interesting. I have a client who has a cafe, and she'll say it's amazing how many people come in 5 minutes before closing and ask for a coffee and a cake, and she's like, I'm closing in 5 minutes. So she now has to kind of put up a sign saying last orders half an hour before closing. Or she has people that come along and order a coffee and a glass of tap water and sit in a comfy seat for 3 hours, and she's quiet, then she's fine, she's happy for that to happen. But when she's busy and there's people coming in and wanting to spend a little bit more than a coffee, just she has to kind of move them along or say, look, and that's just, sometimes we have to be like that. We have to say, right, come on, you're taking liberties here. And it shows up in all sorts of scenarios. So anyway, just be curious about that. Anyway, I will see you again another time. Bye bye.